Welcome back, everyone, to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be digging into zero trust security,
Yeah.
which is a model that's really like transforming how we think about cybersecurity these days.
Yeah, it's changing everything.
Absolutely. And so zero trust, it's all about like ditching that old trust but verify thing
Right.
and switching to never trust, always verify.
Always verify. Yeah.
So are you ready to like unlock all the secrets of zero trust and level up your security?
Definitely. Let's do it.
Awesome. So zero trust, it's really like challenging the old way of doing security, right?
Yeah, it really is. Instead of assuming everything inside the network is safe like we used to,
Right.
zero trust, it basically says, nope, nothing, and no one is trustworthy until proven otherwise.
Interesting. So it's kind of like having a security checkpoint
Exactly.
at every single point
At every point, yeah.
in your whole digital world.
Exactly. It's that constant verification that makes zero trust so powerful.
Oh, okay, I see.
And this isn't just some new buzzword, by the way. It actually has roots going back to a research paper from 2009.
Oh, wow. So it's been around for a while.
It has, and the idea really started to take shape as cyber threats got more and more sophisticated and started coming from both inside A&D, outside the network.
That makes sense, that security models would have to like adapt as the threats change too.
For sure.
So it's not just about locking down the network perimeter anymore, right? What else is involved in zero trust these days?
Yeah, zero trust has definitely grown beyond just networks.
Okay.
Today, it's all about securing identities.
Yeah.
Devices, applications, data.
Oh, wow. So basically everything.
Basically, yeah, every single part of your digital world needs to be looked at carefully.
Okay. Starting to see how big this really is.
It's a big deal.
But let's break it down a bit.
Yeah.
What are the core principles that make zero trust actually work?
All right. There are 4 key principles that you absolutely need to understand.
Okay, ready.
First up is verify everyone and everything. That means rigorous authentication for every single user, device, application that tries to access your network or resources. No more automatic trust just because a device is connected to the internal network.
So even if my laptop is logged into the company's Wi-Fi, it still has to go through all those security checks.
You got it. Even your laptop, your phone, everything.
Oh, that's pretty strict.
It is, but that's the whole point of zero trust. The second principle is least privilege access.
Okay.
And that's all about giving users and systems only the bare minimum permissions they need to do their jobs.
Oh, okay. So it's like a need-to-know basis for the digital world.
Exactly. Need to know. That's a great way to put it.
So even if somebody did manage to get into this system,
Right.
wouldn't automatically have access to everything.
Nope, not at all. That's how you limit the damage if a breach happens.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Limits the blast radius, so to speak.
Exactly. Now, the third principle might sound a little pessimistic, but it's super important for effective security.
Right, let's hear it.
Assume breach.
Assume breach.
Yep. We operate under the assumption that a security breach is inevitable.
That does sound kind of pessimistic.
I know, but it's realistic. No security system is perfect, right?
Sure.
So we assume it's not a matter of if a breach will happen.
But
When. Exactly when. And this way you're always prepared. You prioritize things like having really strong data protection, a solid plan for responding to incidents, and ways to recover quickly.
so it's like you always have a backup plan, even if you think your main security is pretty good.
That's it. It's about minimizing the damage and making sure the business can keep running.
That's a really interesting way to look at it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the fourth principle?
The fourth one is constant vigilance.
Okay.
Zero trust isn't something you set up once and then forget about.
Right.
It requires continuous monitoring, assessment. You need to be adapting all the time.
So it's like a living system.
It is. It's a dynamic system that needs regular checkups and adjustments to stay effective.
Okay, I'm starting to get the big picture here. But this all sounds really complex.
Yeah, it can be.
How do you actually put zero trust into practice?
Well, you're right. Implementing zero trust architecture can be a journey.
Yeah.
But it's not impossible. One crucial step is network segmentation,
Okay.
which is basically dividing your network into smaller, more secure zones.
So if one area gets compromised, the whole network isn't affected.
Exactly. You contain the damage by making it harder for attackers to move around.
That makes sense. So it's about creating those compartments
Yeah, like compartments.
to contain potential breaches.
Exactly. And if you want to take segmentation even further, there's micro-segmentation.
Microsegmentation, what's that?
Well, with microsegmentation, you create even smaller security perimeters around specific workloads and data sets.
But even more granular control.
Much more granular, yeah. It's about being really precise with your security.
Okay, but wouldn't managing all those different zones and segments get really complicated?
You're right, it could, especially for larger organizations. That's where identity and access management comes in.
Identity and access management.
Yeah, or IAM for short.
Okay.
IAM solutions give you a central way to manage user identities,
Okay.
verify those access requests, and enforce really specific access control policies.
So it's about making sure that the right people have access to the right things at the right time.
That's it, and nothing more.
I see. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's not just about controlling access, right? We also need to think about securing the devices themselves.
Absolutely. Endpoint security is another critical part of Zero Trust.
Endpoint security.
That means putting strong security measures on every single device.
Yeah.
Laptops, smartphones, servers, even those Internet of Things devices.
Okay.
We're talking about strong passwords, multi-factor authentication,
Mhm.
encryption, and always keeping your security software up to date.
So it's like layering all those security measures at every level.
Exactly. You want to minimize those vulnerabilities as much as possible.
Okay, I'm following you. And speaking of layers, we can't forget about backups.
Oh, absolutely. Backups are even more important in a Zero Trust world.
Yeah, why is that?
Well, remember, we're working under the assumption that a breach is likely.
Right, assume breach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So backups are your safety net in case all those other security measures fail.
So it's like that last line of defense.
It really is.
Right.
And that's why at Stonefly, we're so passionate about providing really strong backup and disaster recovery solutions
Okay.
that are designed specifically for Zero Trust environments. We know that data protection is super important,
I bet, yeah.
and we build our solutions with that in mind. For more information about our appliances, contact us at sales@stonefly.com or visit our website, www.stonefly.com.
I can definitely see how backups fit into the whole zero trust picture. Can you tell me a little more about how Stonefly's solutions specifically address the challenges of zero trust?
Sure. One key thing is something called air-gapped backups.
Air-gapped backups, what are those?
Air-gapped backups are when you physically isolate your backup data
Oh, wow.
from your main systems.
Okay.
This adds an extra layer of protection against really nasty threats like ransomware.
So even if an attacker gets into the main system, those air-gapped backups are still safe.
That's the idea. They're like a separate protected copy.
That's really reassuring. And I know you mentioned immutable backups before.
Yes, immutable backups are another important feature.
Can you remind me what those are again?
Of course. Immutable backups are copies of your data that can't be changed or deleted.
Oh, wow. So even someone with admin privileges can't mess with them.
Exactly. It's like a digital vault for your most critical information.
That sounds incredibly secure. But even with all these great features, implementing zero trust must have some challenges, right? It seems like it would be a lot to handle.
You're absolutely right. Zero Trust isn't a magic solution, and there are definitely hurdles.
Okay, like what?
One common challenge is integrating Zero Trust principles with existing systems.
Yeah, I can see that being a problem. Sometimes older technology just doesn't play well with newer security stuff.
Exactly. And it can create some real headaches. For more information about our appliances, contact us at sales@stonefly.com or visit our website, www.stonefly.com.
Yeah, I can imagine. So what other challenges are there with zero trust?
Well, aside from the technical stuff, there's also the human element.
Right.
Getting everyone on board with the Zero Trust philosophy can be a challenge.
Yeah, it's a big change from how a lot of people are used to thinking about security.
It is. It often means changing how people work and how they think about security.
Right, it's a whole new mindset.
Exactly. And that can take some time and effort.
I could see that.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is a change in how you think about things. You really
Right.
got to get people to understand why it's so important to be, always on guard and to question those old assumptions.
Right, so you need to build a whole culture of security.
Absolutely. Yeah. User education and training, those are key to making Zero Trust actually work.
Gotcha. So the human side is just as important as the tech side.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about the future. Where do you see zero trust going in the next few years?
Oh, that's a great question. Zero Trust, it's always evolving.
Right.
There are some really exciting things coming down the pipeline. One big trend is that Zero Trust is expanding beyond those traditional boundaries.
Okay, so it's not just about like the company network anymore.
Exactly. It's not just about protecting the perimeter anymore. It's about securing those identities and data no matter where they are.
So, like, zero trust is becoming more flexible.
Exactly. It's becoming way more fluid. This is all because of things like cloud computing, everyone working remotely these days,
Mm.
and all that data moving around constantly. We're seeing zero trust ideas being applied to cloud resources, to data that's moving between places, and even to verify users and devices no matter where they're located.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense with how much things have changed with work and technology.
Oh, for sure. Things are changing so fast.
What other trends are you seeing with zero trust?
Another big one is AI and machine learning, AML.
All right, everyone's talking about AI these days.
They are, and for good reason. They can analyze huge amounts of data
Okay.
to find those anomalies, to spot threats, and even try to predict attacks.
So it's like having a security expert who never sleeps, always watching and learning.
That's a great way to put it, yeah. AML is a total game changer when it comes to threat detection and response. It can do analysis in real time, make decisions automatically, and helps organizations be way more proactive about security.
That's amazing. So what else is coming up in the world of zero trust?
Well, automation is playing a much bigger role in how zero trust is set up and used.
Okay.
As organizations start using more and more zero trust solutions, managing all those policies, rules, and configurations can get really complicated.
Okay.
Automation comes in to streamline all that stuff so that security teams can focus on the big picture.
So it's about making zero trust more manageable and efficient, especially for smaller companies or teams with limited resources.
You got it. Automation is essential for making sure zero trust is actually sustainable and doesn't overload security teams.
Mm.
And that's something we're really focused on at Stonefly.
Yeah.
We want to provide solutions that are not only strong and secure, but also easy to use and manage. For more information about our appliances, contact us at sales@stonefly.com or visit our website, www.stonefly.com.
It sounds like Stonefly is really on top of things when it comes to zero trust. But let's bring it back to our listeners for a minute. Why should they care about this? How does it affect them?
That's a really important point. It's easy to get lost in all the technical details.
Right.
But the reality is zero trust affects all of us. Whether you're just someone surfing the web or you're part of a big company, understanding and using zero trust principles can make you a lot safer online and reduce your risk.
So it's not just about protecting company data, it's also about individuals being more secure.
Absolutely. It's all about changing how we think about security and making it part of everything we do online. And that's where I think the real power of zero trust is.
That's a great point. This has been a really eye-opening conversation. We've talked about where zero trust came from, the ideas behind it, how it's used, and where it's going. But before we finish up, I want to touch on something we haven't talked about directly yet, the human side of things.
Oh, yeah, that's super important. While technology is a big part of zero trust, the human factor is just as important.
Right.
After all, it's people who make those security policies, who put the solutions in place, and who decide whether zero trust succeeds or fails.
So even with the best security tech, it can all fall apart if people don't do their part.
That's right. That's why it's so important to build a culture of security awareness in any organization. Employees need to understand what zero trust is, why it matters, and how their choices can impact security. That means training, clear policies, and making everyone feel responsible for security.
It's a team effort.
It really is. Zero trust isn't just about the tech. It's about creating a culture of security that goes through the entire organization.
Well said. So as we wrap up our deep dive into zero trust, I want to leave our listeners with a few key points. Zero trust is more than just a buzzword. It's a fundamental change in how we think about cybersecurity.
It really is.
It's about moving away from blindly trusting things and verifying everything.
Always verify.
It's about securing identities, devices, applications, and data no matter where they are. And it's about helping organizations be more resilient and adaptable in the face of constantly changing threats.
You put it perfectly. Zero trust isn't a finish line. It's a constant journey of getting better and adapting. It takes work and a commitment to stay ahead of those bad guys, but the payoff is huge.
Couldn't agree more. And for our listeners who want to learn more about how Stonefly can help them with zero trust, I encourage you to visit our website at www.stonefly.com or contact us at sales@stonefly.com.
We're here to help organizations, big or small, handle the ins and outs of zero trust and build a more secure future for everyone. And for our listeners out there, I want to leave you with one last thing to think about. As you kind of go through your day, think about how this whole zero trust thing might change how you use technology in the future.
That's interesting.
Like, how could that never trust, always verify idea change what you do online, how you share information, or even what you expect from companies that have your data?
That's a really good point to consider. It seems like as zero trust becomes more common, it's going to affect everyone, not just big companies.
Absolutely. Is it going to change how we as people think about security and privacy in our digital lives?
So it's not just companies locking things down. It's about all of us getting smarter about security.
Exactly. Understanding zero trust makes you more informed and more aware of those risks. It pushes you to question things, to demand transparency, and to really take charge of protecting yourself online.
So it's about being proactive.
Exactly. Zero trust is a mindset that helps everyone.
I love that. Well, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into zero trust today. We've covered a lot of ground, explored some cool ideas, and hopefully given our listeners something to think about.
It's been great talking about this with you and sharing these insights with everyone.
And to everyone listening, thank you so much for joining us on the deep dive. We hope you found this exploration of zero trust helpful. If you want to learn more about how Stonefly can help you build a more secure future for your organization, check out our website at www.stonefly.com or reach out to us at sales@stonefly.com.
Our team is passionate about helping organizations of all sizes navigate this crazy world of cybersecurity, and we're always happy to answer any questions you have and give you personalized guidance. For more information about our appliances, contact us at sales@stonefly.com or visit our website, www.stonefly.com.
We're committed to giving you the knowledge and the tools you need to succeed in this digital world. Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay secure.